The sun was hot on my back as I bent over the dusty boxes in the garage, sweat slipping down my spine as I sorted through forgotten memories and unopened containers. The old radio buzzed in the corner, playing something lazy, something soft, the kind of music that made everything feel slower, hazier. I was in cut-off shorts and an old tank top tied at the waist, and I hadn't expected company, not now, not in the middle of this mess. But then I heard the creak of the side door and turned halfway, expecting it to be the wind, or maybe just my imagination playing tricks again. But it wasn't, it was him. He stood there, like he owned the heat, like he owned the moment, arms crossed, a sly grin on his face, like he had already undressed me with his eyes, and was just waiting for the rest to catch up. He didn't say anything at first, just leaned there, watching me, like I was the secret he'd been dying to unwrap. And I should have told him to leave, should have asked what he wanted. But instead, I straightened slowly, feeling the way my shirt clung to my skin, the way his gaze followed every motion. I reached up to shove a box onto the top shelf, and that's when he moved. No words, no warning, just a sudden heat at my back and the heavy thud of his boots behind me. I froze, not afraid but breathless, shocked by the press of his chest against mine, by the way his hands landed on my hips. Firm and certain and unshakable, his breath was on my neck, and his voice was a low rasp, saying something. I barely heard, something about how I shouldn't be working so hard in this heat, before I could answer. His hands slid up under my shirt, calloused fingers brushing over my bare stomach, making my whole body arch into his. And when I turned to face him, he didn't give me the chance to speak. He just kissed me, like he had been waiting all damn day for this moment. Like he needed to taste me more than he needed to breathe. And God help me. I kissed him back, every thought flying out of my head, except how right it felt to have him here, to feel the weight of his body pressing me against the old work table. He lifted me up like I weighed nothing, like I was his to carry, and I wrapped my legs around him, not caring about the dust, or the mess, or the open garage door, because all I could think about was how his mouth trailed fire along my throat, how his hands knew exactly where to touch, how every inch of me felt alive and aching. Under him, the garage disappeared. The world narrowed down to the heat of his skin, the hunger in his eyes, and the way he whispered my name, like it was a promise he intended to keep. His mouth was still on mine as he laid me back across the old blanket we'd pulled from one of the boxes earlier. The sun slanted through the open garage, casting everything in golden shadow. My skin burned where he touched me, and my body moved, on instinct, arching into every stroke of his hands, every press of his lips. He looked down at me, like I was the only thing he'd ever wanted, and when he leaned in again, there was nothing soft about it. It was desperate, it was wild, it was heat, and need, and something that felt too big to name. His fingers slid under the waistband of my shorts, slow and deliberate, like he wanted me to feel every second of it, and I did. I felt it in my throat, in my chest, in the way I couldn't breathe. Except, when I moaned his name, he was kneeling between my legs now, his hands spreading my thighs apart, as if he'd waited too long for this to be gentle. And I didn't want gentle. I wanted him raw and real, and right here with the sound of summer air, and distant birds, and the soft thud of his heart beating against mine. He kissed down my stomach, his stubble scraping my skin in the most delicious way. And I reached for him without thinking, my fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer, needing more of him, needing everything of him, and he gave it. He gave me everything slowly at first, like he was savoring every reaction, every gasp, every shiver that ran through me, until I was trembling beneath him, my body aching for release, and he didn't stop, didn't even slow down until I was crying out, lost in it all. And when he rose up over me again, his body pressing into mine, I wrapped around him like I'd been made for this, for him, for the rhythm he set. As we moved together, harder now, deeper, now, everything in me unraveling with every thrust, every whispered word, every look that said, this was more than just heat, more than just hands in the dark. This was something neither of us could undo. We lost track of time as the sun slipped lower, the air heavy and thick, with the scent of sweat and skin, and something sweeter, something sacred. And when it was over, when we lay tangled in each other, our hearts still racing, and our breaths coming in broken waves, he brushed his fingers through my hair and kissed my shoulder so soft, so slow. And he whispered that he hadn't planned on, this hadn't meant to want me like this. But now he didn't know how to stop. I didn't answer. I just reached for his hand, laced our fingers together, and held on, like maybe if I never let go, this moment would never end. This heat would never fade, and he would never walk away, because I was just cleaning the garage, and now nothing would ever be the same.